The phone rang just as Rowan Mercer was locking the door of his small lakeside cabin after another ordinary workday. He almost ignored it. The number was unfamiliar, and the evening sun had painted the entire valley in warm gold, promising a peaceful night after months of exhausting overtime. But something deep inside urged him to answer. The voice on the other end trembled with fear and desperation, carrying words he never imagined hearing from the one person he had trusted most in life. His childhood best friend, Mara Ellison, whispered only 7 words that shattered the silence around him forever. Just one night, please. I have nowhere else. In that single moment, Rowan knew his quiet life was about to change forever, though he had no idea how deeply that one decision would test his heart, his loyalty, and everything he believed about forgiveness. Before we continue, if you believe kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel, Journey of Kindness. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people around the world. Rowan had known Mara since they were 9 years old. They had grown up in the same sleepy mountain town where everyone knew everyone else's stories before breakfast. They had spent summers building treehouses, racing bicycles down dusty roads, and dreaming about the futures they believed would always include each other as lifelong friends. Life, however, had a habit of pulling people onto different paths. Rowan stayed close to home, becoming a skilled furniture craftsman whose handmade work slowly earned respect across the region. Mara had chased bigger dreams in the city, determined to become a successful architect. At first they exchanged letters, then occasional phone calls, and eventually only birthday messages. Years quietly slipped by until friendship became a beautiful memory hidden beneath busy lives. Hearing fear in Mara's voice erased every mile that had ever separated them. Rowan didn't ask endless questions over the phone. He simply gave her his address and told her the porch light would remain on. As darkness settled over the valley, an old taxi rolled into the gravel driveway. Mara stepped out carrying only a worn backpack. Her expensive clothes had been replaced with simple jeans and a faded jacket. Her eyes, once bright with confidence, looked exhausted from sleepless nights and endless tears. She smiled weakly, but Rowan immediately recognized the pain hidden behind that smile. He welcomed her inside without hesitation. The cabin smelled of cedar wood and fresh bread he had baked that afternoon. Everything about the place felt calm, the opposite of whatever storm Mara had escaped. She looked around as though she had forgotten what safety felt like. Rowan prepared warm soup while she quietly sat near the fireplace, staring into the flames without speaking. He sensed that forcing answers would only deepen her wounds. Some people needed silence before they could trust words again. That night became the first peaceful sleep Mara had experienced in weeks. Rowan stayed awake much longer, wondering what could have reduced the fearless girl he once admired into someone who sounded broken by life itself. Morning sunlight poured through the windows, filling the cabin with warmth. Mara finally shared pieces of her story. The architecture company where she had worked for years had collapsed after a financial scandal. Although she had done nothing wrong, investors blamed everyone connected to the business. Her savings disappeared while trying to pay legal expenses. At the same time, the man she had planned to marry walked away, deciding he didn't want to share a future filled with uncertainty. Friends who once surrounded her slowly disappeared whenever she asked for help. Rowan listened without judgment. He understood something many people forgot during difficult times. Sometimes losing everything revealed who truly remained beside you. He insisted Mara stay longer than one night. She resisted at first, embarrassed to accept charity, but Rowan reminded her that friendship was never measured by convenience. Over the following days, she helped around the cabin, cleaned the garden, and even repaired old sketches that had been tucked away in forgotten boxes. Little by little, laughter returned between them. They rediscovered memories from childhood, speaking about teachers, neighbors, and adventures that had once seemed ordinary but now felt priceless. One afternoon, Rowan took Mara into his woodworking shop behind the cabin. The space overflowed with unfinished tables, rocking chairs, shelves, and handcrafted toys waiting for delivery. Business had grown faster than he could manage alone. Mara watched him carefully measure wood before quietly suggesting improvements to the workshop's layout. Her architectural instincts returned naturally. She redesigned storage areas using nothing more than a pencil and scrap paper. Within hours, the entire workspace felt larger and more organized. For the first time in months, Mara experienced something stronger than sadness. She felt useful again. As weeks passed, she began helping Rowan design custom furniture. Her elegant sketches combined beautifully with his craftsmanship. Customers loved the new creations, and orders increased dramatically. What had started as a temporary refuge slowly transformed into an unexpected partnership neither of them had planned. Still, emotional scars heal far slower than financial ones. Some evenings Mara would sit alone on the porch watching sunsets disappear behind distant hills. Rowan noticed the quiet tears she tried to hide whenever memories returned. She blamed herself for trusting the wrong people, for ignoring warning signs, and for believing success would always protect her. Rowan never offered empty motivational speeches. Instead, he reminded her through actions that every sunrise brought another chance to rebuild. Autumn arrived, painting the forests with brilliant shades of gold and crimson. The little furniture workshop became famous throughout neighboring counties for creating pieces that carried stories as much as craftsmanship. Couples ordered dining tables engraved with family histories. Grandparents requested rocking chairs dedicated to future generations. Every project reflected hope, healing, and fresh beginnings. Then the past unexpectedly returned. One afternoon, a sleek black luxury car stopped outside the workshop. A sharply dressed businessman stepped out. Rowan immediately sensed tension before a single word was spoken. Mara's expression turned pale. The visitor introduced himself as Victor Hale, former executive partner at Mara's old company. He claimed the legal investigations had finally exposed the real criminals responsible for the financial disaster. Mara's reputation had been completely cleared. Investors now wanted her back to lead an ambitious new project in the city with an enormous salary waiting for her. Years earlier, Mara would have accepted within seconds. Now she simply looked toward the workshop where Rowan carefully polished a handmade rocking chair for an elderly customer. She realized success no longer meant expensive offices or towering skyscrapers. Success meant waking each morning without fear. Success meant creating something meaningful with honest hands. Success meant discovering people who stayed when life became inconvenient. Victor struggled to understand why she hesitated. He described wealth, prestige, luxury apartments, international travel, and endless opportunities. Everything sounded impressive, yet strangely empty. That evening Mara confessed she was confused. The offer could erase every financial problem she had ever faced. Rowan surprised her by encouraging her to consider it seriously. True friendship, he explained, never chained someone to one place. If returning to the city fulfilled her dreams, she should go without guilt. His words carried no selfishness. That realization touched Mara more deeply than anything else. She spent the next several days walking through forests, sitting beside the quiet lake, and reflecting on the person she had become since arriving at the cabin with nothing except a backpack full of disappointment. She remembered the desperate phone call when she believed her life had ended. She remembered Rowan opening his door without asking what she could offer in return. She remembered discovering purpose again not through wealth, but through compassion. Eventually, Mara met Victor one final time. She thanked him sincerely for believing in her abilities but declined the position. She explained that she had finally found a life where success was measured by integrity instead of titles. Victor stared in disbelief before quietly admitting he envied her certainty. As he drove away, Mara felt no regret, only peace. The following months brought unexpected blessings. A magazine featured Rowan and Mara's workshop, calling it one of the most inspiring small businesses in the region. Orders poured in from across the country. More importantly, people visited not only to buy furniture but to hear the remarkable story behind it. Many customers left saying they had regained hope after learning how kindness had transformed two broken lives into something beautiful. Rowan eventually expanded the workshop into a community training center where unemployed young adults learned woodworking free of charge. Mara organized design classes and career mentoring, helping others rebuild confidence after personal setbacks. The cabin that had once sheltered only one frightened friend became a place where countless strangers found encouragement. Years later, whenever someone admired the thriving workshop and asked how everything had begun, Rowan always smiled before looking toward the front porch where Mara often greeted visitors with genuine warmth. Neither of them mentioned business strategies or financial planning. Instead, They remembered a frightened voice asking for one simple favor during the darkest night of her life. Just one night. That single night became the foundation for countless new beginnings. It reminded them that sometimes the greatest miracles do not arrive wrapped in wealth or fame. They arrive disguised as opportunities to open a door, offer a meal, share a roof, or simply believe in someone who has stopped believing in themselves. Life rarely changes because of grand speeches. More often, it changes because one ordinary person chooses compassion when it would have been easier to turn away. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Journey of Kindness. Your support allows more uplifting stories to reach people who may need them most. Special request. Comment below with the words, "One act of kindness can change a life." As the sun set behind the mountains, Rowan closed the workshop doors while laughter echoed from inside, where apprentices finished another day of honest work. Mara stood beside him, watching families carry handcrafted furniture toward their homes, knowing every piece represented hope created from hardship. The desperate request that had once sounded like the end of a story had quietly become the beginning of a far greater one. And perhaps that is life's greatest secret. That the smallest act of kindness, offered at exactly the right moment, can echo through countless lives long after the night has passed.